welcome to the show. It's Mr. Kane on Vision Radio 345. My special guest today is Tina Augustina Samuel, who is an author, independent publisher, and also a motivational speaker and a teacher. Tina, welcome to Vision Radio 345.
Oh, welcome. Well, thank you. Nice to be here, Eden. Thank you for inviting me.
So just give us a bit about your background, and I know you're an author, independent publisher, and a motivational speaker, but just give us a bit of background about some of the stuff you've been doing. I know you've got some books out at the moment, is that correct?
Yes, I have about 4 books out on Amazon, but I write in several different genres. So 2 of my books are poetry books because I'm an English teacher. So surprise, surprise, I like poetry. Yeah. And one of them is a critical and analytical piece. It's sort of a form of essays, and it's about identity. So we look at, I deconstruct identity, specifically Black identity, look at colonialization, slavery, things like institutional racism and all of that. So it was really spurred on by George Floyd that year. So that year that book came out, Deconstructing Identity. And then I also believe in God. So I have another book called My Journey, Faith Uncovered and Laid Bare, which is really mainly an autobiographical book. But I also do a lot of things in the community. I like giving back. I've been lottery funded. And last year, BBC, because I've done a lot of things with them, BBC Radio asked me to be one of the 100 Londoners to celebrate 100 years of BBC broadcasting.
Wow.
Myself and 99 others were chosen from London, people who have done things for the community, etc. And, we were given an award, etc. And we were interviewed, and you can still, I believe, go to BBC Sounds and pick up the interview there as well. So, yeah, and I'm a teacher as well.
So as you can see, Tina's a
quite
very...
a few things I want.
Yeah, a very, very, very busy woman. If you want to leave the info, just drop the info at info@visionradio345.co.uk, or you can leave an email, drop something in the email, visionradio345@gmail.com, or just drop a text, 07585 364475. That's the number to call, or just drop a text, because sometimes I don't pick up the calls. Just drop a text if you want to give us some views about the show, or drop it in the under the YouTube there. We're going to put the description down. Drop some comments and tell us what you think about the show. So moving on, so you're a motivational speaker. Tell us a bit about that, because this woman's doing a lot of stuff at the moment. So I'm going to have to kind of break these down slightly. So motivational speaker, where have you actually been?
With that, I just believe in encouraging others, and I believe that I believe in ordinary heroes. And I believe that that's what we are. I'm not anybody special. I'm the same as everyone else. I work hard. Anyone who wants to work hard can have anything they want. And I just believe that sometimes we need to share those stories with each other in order to empower each other. I mean, I recently did a talk celebrating Windrush.
Okay.
And looking at the in Tottenham, and looking at the contributions that the post-World War generation coming from the Caribbean gave to Great Britain.
And you know what? Just to cut you there, Tina, I actually I actually was involved in doing the track for the Windrush. It was last year.
You?
Yeah, a woman named Karima. I think her name is Karima something. Another. She called up a friend of mine who I met at work. He was working on the project, and they asked if he can do
how powerful is that?
the music for the event, the Windrush event. And I met him because he was a contractor. He came in at work as just a member of staff from when you've got agency staff. We started to talk, and then a couple of weeks later, he said to me he's doing something with the Windrush, and I thought, okay. But cut a long story short, we'd done the track here. I had Audrey Scott on here. I had Polito, Dan.
Oh, all of that.
All these guys were here, and we built the track, and I sent it out to her. She loved it, and I don't know if she played it on the actual day because it was outdoor. But yeah,
but that's so powerful.
Yeah.
And to be able to contribute to something like that, because it's almost like, you're celebrating and honouring your parents. It's not just
Exactly.
we're actually personally sort of like identifying with this. It's
That's
not
right.
just your parents' story is my parents' story.
That's right.
My parents' story is your parents' story.
That's right.
Which makes it our story.
Yeah, that's
Do you know what I mean? So that's a powerful thing, and I think I would have seen it as such an honor to be able to have been involved in that way. In my little section, I did my little bit.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what we all need to do, because I don't think that we just need to make our communities aware and remember the contributions. I think it's important for us to make the other communities need to sometimes remember the contributions given by our parents. It's not just about educating black people. It's actually about looking at the bigger picture and educating everyone.
That's right. You know what? My phone has gone off while I'm here, which shouldn't have gone off.
Cool. Show you it's live and direct.
But it's live, isn't it? I mean, I'm getting a call. Actually, it's a good friend of mine from Jamaica. Actually, her name is Sashel Girl. She worked with us at the school, and actually, what she done, she actually moved out of this country to Jamaica to raise her kids. And I've got a book here, which I was going to bring that into the show, but we're going ahead of things there.
There's a lot going on. She moved to?
She's down in St. Anne's, and she has a business out there where she's doing properties, etc. But listen, let's get back to the show, because there's so much stuff.
I was going to talk about when I went to Jamaica to teach, but that's the next one.
And the thing is, she's an English teacher as well.
Oh, Lord.
So anyway, listen, we'll talk about that. As I'm saying, we started the conversation. We don't want to go off topic.
We can very easily digress, can't we?
Yeah, we can digress. But
we're not trying to.
No, we're trying to. This is Vision Radio 345. I've got with me today Tina Augustina Samuel, having a good catch up and a good laugh as well, because we like to do that. But we have to have a laugh. Always keep on point with what we're doing, and do not lose focus, because we are living in serious times. We're blessed to be here to talk about these things. And as you mentioned about parents, I mean, growing up with our parents, and there's certain things that was going on with some of our parents. Do you remember some of the kind of parenting styles? You remember everybody's got a different parenting style, and
but I feel like, don't you feel like back in the day, a lot of the parenting styles was one, boss your ass. I think it was like one parenting style.
It was.
And it was like, don't talk.
Yeah, and that's going to lead us on to what we're going to talk about, because we've got some information about different parenting styles.
I can see the category it falls under.
Yeah, you can see where we've gone with this now, because this is what we're talking about. We're going to lead into other things as well. But let's just talk about that, because obviously different parents had different ways of dealing with things. And when our parents came here, my parents are definitely from that generation who came here. When they came here,
50s?
Yeah, they came down in the early 60s. So back in the 50s. But I remember there was things that was going on in terms of us trying to find a place to stay, and how the partner came about, because when my parents came here, they could not buy a house. They couldn't get a bank account. They had to be at a certain time before they could actually even apply for anything. So you're talking about citizenship. So you can imagine at that time it was so overwhelming.
But the challenging thing is, I think it's important for us to note. Is that when our parents came here, the difference is when they came here, they were already British, because they were coming from the colonies, and at the time, immigration wasn't the way it is now. So when they came here, they were already British. This is why we had the Windrush scandal, the problem, because the government never sort the papers out properly.
That's right.
So therefore, unless you left the country, you didn't sort out your nationalisation.
That's right.
So the difference is, I think it's very important for us to separate our parents' generation, no offence, from any other ones that any other generations that come here. Even there's the same thing with the whole immigration, leaving your countries for a better life, blah blah. But the difference is, let's not forget that our parents, unlike anybody else, were invited here.
That's right.
They didn't just rock up.
So let's just get to the parenting style, because that's what we're going to talk about, the way we were raised and so forth. Yeah, so we can get back on that. So just going through some of the stuff that we was looking at just before we came on air, was talking about different styles of parenting. So Tina, what would you kind of say your parenting style is?
Well, I would say, after some of the research that you've been doing, and I've been looking at, there's 4 different styles, but I'd say that I'm more of an authoritative. That's maybe more my style.
Okay.
Shall I define it?
So let's just go into that a minute. So when you say
Right.
authoritative, how do you?
So the authoritative style includes. It says you put the effort into creating a positive relationship with children.
Mm-hmm.
You explain the reasons behind your rules. You enforce rules, but also consider your child's feelings. But I do think that it's a little bit difficult because, you know, just like with learning styles, sometimes you can border on two.
Yes.
So I feel like I'm not strictly authoritative. That's the main. But I could also
differentiate.
Yeah, with but not permissive, because you can't just do nothing and expect things to happen.
Well, that is something that some of our parents did. Some of our parents were looking for very high expectations when those expectations actually couldn't be met because they don't know the child's ability. They were just thinking, you're going to be this, I want you to do better than what I did. But in saying,
they just thought you need to get an A star.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if you're capable of it.
Absolutely. But that was the expectation, and if that didn't happen, then there was problems inside of the yard. You know, when it comes to parents evening them, and I get it, because when you're coming from that generation and you hear that your parents, they were just here trying to survive. You know, they're doing back-to-back jobs. They haven't got no time for negotiations.
I think also it's important to look at their experience.
Absolutely.
And that experience is what sort of structured their parenting style.
Yes.
And the problem is that they came here for a better life, didn't they? So they did, like you said, they didn't come here to play. But you got to think, like with my parents, my mother was born in 1922. So therefore, she weren't far off of slavery. So her mother would have been in slavery.
Wow.
And even though she was supposedly free, they were still suffering from the direct
the impact of
slavery. So they would have still been experiencing high levels of racism, inequality, especially coming from the Caribbean. Like being in the Caribbean. They would have been even more behind the West.
So when we move forward now to 2025, we look at our generation and how we now deal with our kids. Do you think that any of those categories that you've read out apply to some of us, or you know, because you sound like you've got a balance, but there's still some people who still have that same mentality, still expecting their child to reach this level, and if it doesn't happen, you hear it. They send them home.
I mean, you work in education as well, Eden, so you see this all the time, like myself. I feel that sometimes some parents, not all parents, but some parents, because of some of the reasons that we just touched on, have high expectations of their children. And there's nothing wrong with having high expectations.
That's fine.
But I feel that it's important to ground them in realistic expectations.
Yes. There's a difference between high expectations and realistic.
They can be. It needs to be realistic.
Yeah.
And then high in. So if your child is the new style of grades is 1 to 9. 9 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. If you want to look at old money, we're talking that sort of like A being the highest or A star, and let's say a U, I don't know, U or something being the lowest, E or something like that. Yeah. So your child may only be able to achieve a 4.
Right.
If that's just what your child is, then you need to be aiming for the best 4. Yeah. But at the same time, you should be aiming higher.
Yes.
So the child needs to be saying, right, do you know what? I know that's what they say that I can do, but I'm trying to go to 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Step it up a little bit.
But that has to be that encouragement, I feel, has to come from the parents, and they have to recognize that, where some of them actually don't. They actually want the school to kind of do the parenting as well.
No, they want the school to do it for them.
Yes,
because the problem is, if your child is not capable of an A or a grade 9 or a grade 8, and these days it's not so easy to obtain a grade 9. You've got to really be good to obtain it's just like it's not easy to obtain a first when you do a degree. Like standard is like a 2-1. You know, it's not easy. But I feel that also it's not a blanket, but I've noticed this picture nationally in regards to education, that we are still suffering from COVID and the fact that the children lost out on education.
Okay, so listen, I wanna hold it right there, and we're gonna be back after this break because she's made a really good point there. Because the COVID, and when you speak to young people, you see that the behaviour, how it's changed
Mm.
after COVID and what's happened. We're gonna take a break. We're back after this.
DG Mobile Car Van, mechanical and electrical repairs and service. We'll turn up outside your house, carry out your repairs or service so you can get along with your daily routine. We specialise in brake, suspension, exhaust repairs, diagnostic testing from £30, clutch, timing belt replacement. Call-out fees apply. For more information and inquiries, call 0796 09 1996. DG Motors will be there in a jiffy.
It almost happened to me. My children in the park playing. Then a stranger appeared out of nowhere in the distance. My child was talking to him right there. At that split moment, gone. Abducted. Just because I was not aware of my surroundings.
Child abduction is a criminal offence. Therefore, it is important to act quickly to ensure the safety of your child. Be aware.
Hi, Godfrey here, Jackie's Love Kitchen Mobile Catering Services, delivering the best in Caribbean cuisine. We do weddings.
I've never tasted food so good in my life.
Funerals and private functions.
I can really taste the love in the food. Thank you. Yeah, man, the food's shut already, man. Big up.
We also provide our own staff, equipment, and of course, our extremely high-end service. For more information, please call 07983 488 491 or email jackieslabkitchen2014@gmail.com. Jackie's Love Kitchen.
Vision Radio 345. Station to be tuned in. Keep it locked. Keep it locked. Keep it locked. Keep it locked.
This is Vision Radio 345. Best in music and awesome in talk. Serving our community.
Welcome back to the show. My guest, Tina Augustina Samuel, who is a author, independent publisher, motivational speaker and teacher, which we mentioned just before we went into the break at the beginning of the show, just to remind those people. We ended up with talking about the COVID and how that affected our young people, and I want to go and touch on that because you was right when you was talking about the way the COVID affected them. It affected them emotionally, mentally, and for some of them physically, because we've got kids in school. I've never known children to have diabetes level 2 in school. So can we just talk about that a bit about that, please?
Well, yes. For me, especially as a teacher, I've been teaching for like 30 years, and I've taught in secondary, I've taught in college, I've taught in uni, I've taught in alternative provision. But I find that COVID brought up several issues due to children being isolated and being at home. Because there's more to be said about education than let's go to school to read and write. There are these sort of social behaviours that you learn.
Yeah, that's right.
Through interacting with your peers.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, not having that interaction, there's a bit of your development that's not taken place.
Well, exactly, yeah.
So a lot of the students, and whether I've spoken to teachers that are teaching sort of like more sort of outer London, as well as inner London. I myself have taught in schools which are more affluent, as well as the inner city. It makes no difference. What I've noticed is nationally there's a picture of students underachieving as a direct result of COVID. And it's not until, without seeming crude, those children are sort of like, have gone to year 11, left school, that it's going to take a few years to filter all of that out to get a set of children who have been in education from since year 6, moved the way they should have done to 7, 8, 9, 10, because it was the 6 and the 7s, the year 6s that had to move into year 7s.
Yeah.
And the year 11s that were leaving, and the year 13s that were affected even the most. Yeah, they were affected the most.
Yeah.
because of that transition that they didn't have.
And we see that now in their behaviour, and especially in their emotional behaviour. A lot of the young people I've come across cannot regulate their emotions.
Constantly dysregulated.
And it's like anything that happens, it just triggers them, and they just lose the whole plot. So there's no sense of reasoning there at all. And the
until
brain,
they calm down.
Yeah, and then the brain development, the development of those young people, because they haven't got the capacity to understand emotional intelligence. This is what happened. You kind of get triggers. I'm going to play you a clip from something that I found recently regarding emotions and how that plays out with young people. And this is what we're seeing now. We're seeing young people were not regulating their emotions and using that as weapons to navigate themselves through
and
life
manipulate.
and manipulate. And we're going to hear this clip, and we're going to kind of stop and have a little conversation, and then we can continue.
So somewhere along the way, we have stopped seeing emotions as something to feel. And maybe it's just me, but now emotions aren't just signals for you. They become weapons to control others. If someone makes you uncomfortable, they're toxic. If someone doesn't validate your feelings, they are unsafe. If someone holds you accountable, they're attacking you. Here's the truth. Emotions are not evidence. They are not justification. And they're not a path to manipulate the world around you, because emotions were never meant to be externalized like this. They are internal data. They tell you what's happening inside, not what's wrong with everyone else. But instead of processing emotions, we are projecting them.
So you can see what she's saying there about the emotions and how young people are using it now to project on people and use it to weaponize and demonize people in some ways as well, which is, as we said, because there's no emotional intelligence there, Tina. This is what we're seeing. I mean, we see that in the schools. I'm sure as a teacher you can see
definitely,
that when children get frustrated.
I find that, especially in the education system at the moment, due to, I believe, direct results of COVID, there's been a rise in mental health in young people.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've really had to take note of. I don't believe we take as much note of the mental health of staff as we do of the young people.
And that's another area.
I feel that we really are quite supportive, but the problem is within that, because of what she speaks about in regards to accountability and in regards to projecting, sometimes you could use her theory to sort of explain the experiences that you have with some young people who display certain types of negative behavior, and when not even challenged, just when held accountable for those behaviors, they negate responsibility and then begin the process of projecting it onto you. It's something that you did wrong, or because they have mental health and they have certain issues, they are unable to control themselves.
Yes.
So this is why this particular thing happened, and the fact is that the anger levels can also go up from 0 to 10, and they can even lash out.
No, absolutely.
At you. And then it's not until they sort of calm down that you can then begin this process of restoration, of sort of having a restorative conversation with a young person, sort of really pinpointing what actually took place and what was the trigger. The problem is that a lot of young people don't learn from they don't learn from that sort of restorative process because it happens again.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's challenging.
It's definitely challenging. And I had that challenge with a young person just before we broke up, a couple of weeks before we broke up. It was very challenging, but just sometimes we have to work for experience, because we're experienced teachers and mentors. So for our experience, what we tend to do is we isolate that person, we get them away from the situation, and then we get them to calm down and restore themselves, so we can have that one-to-one conversations in a safe space, because it's all about safe space for them, as you know, and make sure that they're on track.
I think they're very good at protecting their sort of psychological safety.
Yeah, definitely. So as I was saying, the effect of not managing their emotions and not regulating is a huge problem.
Yeah, I agree.
So how do we tackle that? How, what's the best ways of approaching that? Because obviously once we've got the child calmed down, because they themselves have to understand that they need to regulate themselves as well. How do we implement that in terms of our day-to-day work with young people?
Well, I think that one of the things that we do is to give those children different strategies of how to actually deal with their emotions. And I think one of the things that we do, I mean, especially with the sort of behavior department or intervention department, I think in a school, like a mainstream school, they do a lot of work that is sort of sometimes can be a little bit undervalued.
Okay, so but before we get into that part of it being undervalued, let's just continue with that clip that we was listening to, and then we can take up from there.
Weaponizing sadness instead of sitting with it, right? We use it to guilt people into fixing it for us. We weaponize anger instead of understanding it. We lash out and expect others to absorb the impact. We weaponize discomfort instead of working through it. We use it to silence, cancel, and or control. The more that we do this, the weaker that we become, because we're handing our power over to everyone else. If your peace depends on people treating you just right, then you don't have peace. If your worth depends on validation, then you don't have self-trust. Real emotional strength isn't about how well you get the world to accommodate your feelings. It's about how well you navigate them without needing the world to change for you. So here's a question for you. Am I actually processing my emotions, or am I just using them to get what I want?
It's so funny. You see,
and not be manipulative.
No, exactly. You see, this is why we like live radio. You see, what was doing was off air talking, and nobody, the volume was down. I'm asking, you just go, are we on? We're on camera now.
Yeah.
We're still
like, yeah, sorry.
We're still rolling. But anyway, going back to that, Tina, what they rightly said at the end there. What do you think of that statement?
As in,
it's something for them to think about. It's something for the individual to think about. Do you want to play that last piece again?
No, I think what you've got to think about is the fact that what we're talking about with these behaviours is, number one, it's important to have accountability.
Yeah.
You need to accept responsibility for your behaviour. And number two, even though, yes, it may be difficult because you find it challenging to regulate your own emotions. And, that could be partly because of mental health. What you must do is use different strategies to support yourself in that. It can't be a thing where everyone else is trying to help you and you're not actually trying to help yourself.
Deflecting on other people.
It can't be that deflection like she speaks about. At some point, you need to learn that, you know what, I'm about to get upset. Normally, something like this would trigger me to get upset. What should I do? It could be something as simple as count down from 10 before you speak. It could be as simple as, let me sit down, let me just count to 20 in my head, let me zone out, let me just calm myself down. Let me just do that and start counting.
Wow.
It could be so simple, but there are so many strategies now that we do give young people, as you know, to calm themselves down and to deal with situations.
And they've got to learn to embrace that, because the thing is, they've got to pass that stage of, I call it like I was mentoring some kids, and I usually give them that scenario of the firework procedure. Somebody they light the tail, they start provoking you, and then it starts to build up. All of a sudden, it's one big explosion. It's about triggering. And when they get to that point where they get triggered, what happens there? And like you said, if they're not being accountable they have to be accountable for the behavior first before they can implement or actually use that part of the advice that they're supposed to take. You've got to say, put your hands up first.
You need to be accountable before the trigger happens.
Yeah. And that's exactly
or in the process of the trigger.
Yeah.
So whatever the trigger is, that's where you stop. That's where you pause. That's where you think. That's where because it almost seems, scientifically they do say that, like especially from 0 to sort of 5 years old, children's memories are very short.
That's
They've
right.
got short span memories.
That's right.
But I find because of the late developments, it's not like I've done any research or anything, but just from what I've seen in my experience, etc., and speaking to other people, it's almost like they have, a lot of the young people sometimes actually do forget.
Yeah.
They actually forget what they've just done.
And I think,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you say you just did blah blah, and they'll say, "No, miss, I didn't," and I'll say, "But you just literally did that."
But you know, I think, Tina, I think that's the reason for that is, I think is you know, over the years they've been telling these young people, and they've been telling us as well as adults, you need information, you need information, you need it. Now you're on overload.
It's too much.
Now you're on overload. You can't even stop to think. Well, you don't know what to say. On that note, listen, we're gonna have to we're gonna hold a conversation there, because I find it's very interesting. I think we should come back at some point and do another episode around the behaviour of young people, and also some good stuff as well. What's happening, because some of them have actually, you know, I've done well. I mean, some of the people who I've come across over the years working with them, and I've met them through, I don't know, you just going somewhere and all of a sudden somebody calls your name out. I remember you, sir, from. I probably get the same thing when you work with young people.
All the time.
And you'd be surprised that those people who you thought didn't make it actually made it. So which means that the work that we're doing, which we've always been doing, as far as I know, Tina's been in this work for many years, and myself, passing down, you know, the good news to young people, encouraging them and getting them to make something of themselves. We can see what type of world we're living in at the moment, and it's not great, but we have to just take what we need and leave the rest behind. Tina, thank you very much for coming in today. It's been great to see you, and you know, we've been arranging this for quite some time. And just before we got Tina email, there's some information. We've got so much stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
But I just want to say to those young people who are going to pick up their results in August, all the best. I don't do the luck thing. All the best. Whatever grades you get, bless them. You know what I mean? I hope you get blessed with those grades, and I hope that you get into college, because the time's coming up now. September's the next time for enrollment, and I think people should be getting themselves ready for that.
And I also think it's important for young people to understand that you get what you put in is what you get out. Do you know what I mean? And it's never the end. So even whether young people get good grades or they get the grades they wanted, shall we say, or you may have to go through clearing or something, even if you don't get the grades that you were looking for, it's not the end. You know, you can still carry on. You can still get into a uni a different way, or do a BTEC, or do something else.
Exactly.
It's not the end of the world. So I just feel like whether you do well or you don't do well, just be pleased and proud of yourself that you're here now. You've finished your secondary education and you're in the next phase of life. Whoopee.
We'll be. Take care.
Bye.